Live from Auburn, California, the endurance capital of the world. It's the Limit Situation Trail Magic event. With 19 participants who have earned the moniker of Hiker Trash. Today we have Hiking in the COVID Year, The Unit, Zen of the Trail, and Best Laid Plans. Brought to you by the Limit Situation Trail Angels. And now the hosts who think farting is funny, Alan Hammond and Jennifer Mavis.
Woo!
Here we are. Yay.
Oh my God. So, welcome everybody. We're just so glad you're here. Jennifer Mavis, whimsical woman. Sure a lot of you know her. I think it was almost just as tough hiking the PCT as it was for her getting here.
Yeah, I'm currently living in Florida, so I try to drive to California during a massive ice and snowstorm. So I quickly got stuck in Louisiana and had to turn around and was able to fly out the next day. So here I am.
Man, it just works, you know. The trail provides all the way into life.
Yeah, a lot of emotion and.
This is gratitude that comes forth and brings out the tears in me all the time. But so 2020 was a very different year, and it was a very trying year. A lot of stuff came out of nowhere, and nobody knew how to react, what was going on, what was happening. And what we all saw that was very disconcerting was the toxicity that came about from everybody's side of a stance. And what we are here to do today is not take a stance. Let's everybody let it go. Let's just be. Let's talk about, you know, the freedom of the trail, the people, and see what happens here. But, you know, it's just amazing that when this hit, like we said, there was just mass confusion. And
Yeah.
I mean, you were caught in the middle of that too, right? With your...
Yeah, I was planning on hiking the Continental Divide Trail starting in late April, and when you started hearing about COVID, it didn't really mean anything to me and I think many other people, and I continued with my plans, but then it became a bit more serious, and a lot of us were faced with making a lot of difficult decisions on what to do during this COVID year.
Yeah, and you know, just to be transparent, Jennifer, not of any action of her own, in a quarantine mode, contracted COVID.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of strange basically getting it in my own home while under quarantine. At the time, I had a roommate, and he unknowingly contracted COVID on a work trip. And yeah, it was pretty wild, took me off guard, and I got pretty sick, and it showed me how serious, you know, this has been for some people. Thankfully, I healed up just fine, but yeah, I wasn't expecting to get COVID in my own house or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's just take and listen to this first panel, Hiking in a COVID Year. These are all 2020 hikers. We just want to hear about how it presented itself to them, what the trail was like in a year with
Right.
very few people on it,
Yeah.
the camaraderie, the loneliness, whatever it may have been. And even as a Trail Magic organization, we were torn in the beginning, and so we just kind of let it ride and remembered that our mission statement is to be there for hikers. So we chose to go out. We fed about 1/5 of the amount of people that we normally see, and it was a beautiful group. You know, it was a good year. It was a good year for us. It was a good year for the hikers, and I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it's cool. We're gonna hear from people from all over the world, and some of these people were already on the trail when COVID became aware to us that it was serious, and then others made the choice to go out on the trail in the midst of it. So we're just gonna hear people's stories, and yeah, like Alan said, this is like a no judgment, no stance zone. We're just hearing about 4 people that through hiked the Pacific Crest Trail.
Yeah, and the whole gist of this program, we weren't going to do an event this year because usually it's a live event.
Yeah.
Jennifer and Anya were part of our Women of the PCT 2 years ago, and Grizzly, who was on panel 4, came to us and said, please do something for the community. You know, we need some light. And so
Yeah.
that's what today is.
Yeah.
It's just sit back, chill, let's have some fun. So
Yeah.
we're gonna move over to panel 1
Panel 1.
and let's see what happens.
This day was like any other day, this one like another. Castle briars bristle sticking, keeping the inside tight like a bird in fright, afraid to let go and lowly go, let it go, 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 go. Said the light before me and wait, said the siren's plaintive cry, and look, said the smoke, look, I am sudden, ruthless and hurriedly burning you. And the people were scrambling for their lives, and the people were scrambling for their lives, and the people were scrambling for their lives, and the drive-by fires brought water to my eyes.
Yay!
Hi, guys.
Here they are, folks.
Hi,
So-
everybody.
Hello. Is it up and running?
Yes, here we are.
We had to play that twice in case anybody actually missed you. On
Yeah, it was a
accident.
beautiful song. It was nice to listen to. I don't mind.
Yeah. Anyways, welcome everybody.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having us here. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Hi.
You all look great.
Lots of buffering.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So let's start out with this. We know that Thursday in Pocket Sauce started, or what was your date?
March 14th. That's right, right? Yeah, March 14th.
And did you two start together?
No, we met on the third day? Third day. Yeah.
The third day? Okay.
Yep.
And Danny, I know you were moving pretty quick. When did you start? Whoop. Danny, can you hear me? Nope. Okay, we're going to move over to Naps here. Naps, so you started in the midst of what was already public in the COVID and all of that, correct?
Yeah, I was supposed to start April 16th, but ended up moving to May 10th. And I started approximately where I thought I would be at the time. So that was Cabazon or mile 209.
Oh, wow. Cool. So Thursday and Pocket Sauce. So you're on the trail. All of this stuff starts coming about. If you're hiking in the midst of nowhere, how did you hear about it? Tell us your experience.
Pocket, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I remember being at Rodriguez Road near the spring, and that is where I found out. We had service up there. I had already met Thursday at the time, and we were with our friend Juice and
Ethan?
Beard Snack. So we were all at Rodriguez Road, and I'm in my tent. I have service. It's late at night, and I'd already known kind of about what was going on, but when I left for trail, I mean, everything was open. Like there was nothing to worry about. I was like, oh, perfect. This is a great time for me to just leave, you know? But it wasn't until we got the email from the PCTA and also our governor in California started making like statements on like what needs to be done and everything. And I didn't know anything until that night when I had service about literally everything that was going on. So it was overwhelming. There were some tears being shed in the tent that night. Yeah.
Yeah. There were just a lot of unknowns. I think my experience was the same at the beginning. It's like, you know, I'd heard of this thing, but it hadn't affected me or anyone in my immediate circle. So I think it's very easy to just assume that like, oh, this isn't a big deal, it'll blow over. There've been things kind of similar to this before. Like I didn't know. I mean, like a lot of us, like we had no idea what this was going to be. So I hopped on trail just like I'd been planning. And then about the same time as Pocket, we had like, I think like 1 or 2 bars of service. So we got like these like messages and like emails like that night after we'd all like eaten and like gone to bed, hiker midnight. And I just remember, I think that you texted me and you said like, did you get that email from inside of your tent? And I was like, what email? And then I read it, and like that night we didn't say anything else. And the next day we just started, you know, a series of conversations that we would continue to have as we hiked, just like, what do we know? What should we be doing? What can we do? What's within our power to do? What's our responsibility? Things like that. So yeah, it's kind of weird sort of watching it all develop as we're on trail, but also like not being privy to most of the information that other people have. Yeah. You know, it's very intermittent, and the things that we're receiving are very like, it's just whatever we happen to see for the few minutes that we get like a little bit of cell service somewhere. So that was interesting for sure.
Wow. Fascinating. So it looks like, have we lost Danny? Yeah. Okay.
Iced tea's frozen. But Naps, I'm curious, so why did you change your start date to a month later?
Because I was a COVID nurse.
Okay.
So when the PCTA put out their email saying don't hike, I initially canceled my hike like everyone else did. And then I had started seeing the cases rolling into my work, and I was working firsthand with it. And I thought it would be my responsibility just not to hike. But then as we gathered more information and people like Pocket Sauce and Thursday were updating some of the Facebook groups we were in and Instagram, I realized people are still out there. They're doing it. One of my biggest concerns is how am I going to resupply if everywhere is closed? And there was a behind the scenes group that had started that was updating all of us. And when I saw people doing it, I realized I still want to go. I want to give it a try. And after working for 2 months, I needed a break.
Yeah.
What? So real quick, Naps, what was that experience like for you in the hospital? Was it a trip?
It was challenging. Every day, policies and standards of practice were changing. So every day after work, I'd come home and read what's the newest, best thing we can do to care for our patients. And that was exhausting. And it was a little overwhelming. I think 2 months of it gave me a good knowledge of kind of what was happening. And I thought that I had stuff to offer people on the trail as well.
Right on.
Oh, I like that perspective. Iced tea, are you back?
Oh, man.
Oh, he froze again.
He was back and then he was gone, so.
So did all of you get to meet each other on trail? I know Pocket Sauce and Thursday, but what about Naps and Iced Tea?
Yeah, we all met each other on trail.
Yeah.
I met Iced Tea right after you did, Pocket,
Mhm.
at a Weeville.
Yeah, we will.
And he bought like 3 iced teas and had them all sitting on the table.
Oh, hence the name,
good.
because that's right, Thursday, or Pocket Sauce, you named Danny, right?
Yeah, like right before that, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, right before that, I met him. Yeah, maybe like 25-ish miles before Weeville, and he was just raving about iced tea. Like he was like, I drink it every time I get into town, and he had like a little iced tea bottle with him. But
Mhm.
but I was like, oh, that's whatever, you know. But he was talking about it nonstop, and it was awesome. I was like, has anyone given you a trail name yet? And he's like, no. And I told him, I was like, it has to be iced tea. You love this stuff.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's so fitting.
Yeah,
stuff.
so fitting.
It was perfect. And then when I met him, he had just gotten his trail name, so he was like so excited. He was like, yeah, a girl named Pocket Sauce gave it to me. And I was like, Pocket! That's my trail fam.
Yeah.
And then
I was on the heels of Pocket Sauce and Thursday, and I didn't know it. I went like a week without really seeing anyone.
Mhm.
And then I came across Limit Situation, and they're like, yeah, there's this huge group right ahead of you. They were just here. And I was like, what? I haven't seen people.
Because Naps, I remember when we met up with you, you had said you were experiencing some serious loneliness. So you were moving along at a pretty good clip. Did you have long periods of nobody?
I didn't really, I like hiking alone, but I like camping with people. So throughout the day, I'd run into people, but at night, I never really camped at the same spot as anyone. And I had actually gotten off at Sonora Pass, and I told my husband I was done, I quit, come out and pick me up. So he did.
Oh.
And then I got back on trail the first time. The second time I got back on trail was Truckee after I quit the second time. But at Truckee, I was in town for like 4 or 5 days and I didn't see any hikers. And then from Truckee to when I ran into you guys, I didn't see anyone until Bam Bam. I saw him in the hut that morning.
Very cool.
Yeah, I remember we met you in Sierra City, right?
Sierra City.
Like right after 4th of July, we had just gotten at Trail Magic, and I remember Ellen getting a message from you. You're like, there's a hiker right behind you. Be on the lookout for her. She's super sweet. And then she showed up, and then we started hiking together for a bit.
Yeah, I was walking down the center of the street in Sierra City, and Pocket Sauce yells to me, "You've got a Waymark backpack. I think we've become best friends."
That sounds right.
I love it. That's my backpack too. So awesome.
She was the
Well,
only
I just
So
found
then
this
later
photo,
that
by
day,
the
we
way.
were restocking in the store there, and Pocket Sauce comes in and she's like, "Do you want a shower? Like, we've got a place up the road." And I was like, "Do I want a shower?"
Very
So the
cool.
next day, I went into their hotel and crashed the room,
Yep.
and they let me use their shower, and it was great.
And then the three of you were together for what, the next 700 miles?
Yeah, that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Math, yeah.
Math. Not my forte.
It was always some combination of like 3 or 4 of us. There was a group there.
Yeah, we had a
was.
group, and we were in like kind of revolving around each other, but we were all in the same. Like we'd meet up. We were all like we were within the day of each other, I'd say, for a long time.
So let's go back to the first stretch, you know, from the desert to Kennedy Meadows. I mean, in a typical year, you've got thousands of people in that.
There's a lot.
So what was it like? Was it quiet? What were the towns like? Was it welcoming? Was it?
Great question. Towns were very welcoming. That was one thing that we were nervous about. Pocket and I talked about this a lot, I'm sure. So I'll just speak for myself then. But that was something that I was personally very nervous about. Fortunately, I guess for this year, I had planned all of my resupplies to be shipped to me. So I didn't have to worry about stores being open or interacting with people. All I had to do was pop into a post office with a mask on, pick up a box, and keep hiking. So that was something that was nice to not have to worry about that. But I know that wasn't the same for other people, and other folks had a lot of concerns on, okay, if we get to this resupply point, are we going to be able to buy food? Like, are people going to be angry that we're in their towns. And overwhelmingly, 99.9% of the time, everyone was so excited to see us. They're like, we didn't expect to see anyone. We're so happy you're here. What can we do for you? It was like really overwhelming sometimes. Just like the positivity of everyone. I was very surprised to like continuously encounter that. So that was really nice.
Very cool. And so, any questions on that?
No, I was going to ask, iced tea is frozen right now, but how often did you all see him on the trail? I know you, Pocket Sauce, you gave him his name, but you guys all didn't finish together or anything, right? No.
No.
So you just would every once in a while, you know, run into each other on the trail?
Yeah, and we saw him, I think the last time we had seen him was the desert or Weeville. He was a really fast hiker, and he was actually, he was a beast. Like, he was leading, like, basically the whole class of 2020, like, through the Sierras, you know? So he broke trail a lot, and so we're like, we know that guy, you know, and he's posting updates, and so we didn't see him until we actually got to Bishop, like, you know, like another another 700 miles later, maybe, and we saw him, and he had 2 iced teas in his hands. And that was the best reunion.
Perfect.
We came up from the south, and he like came down from like Mammoth, and we're like, we didn't think you'd see you again, and there he is with his iced teas. And we're like, this is nice. This feels right.
Such a sweet reunion. And then I think that was the last time that we saw him. But it was just those little moments, and I know you guys can all relate, where you see these people only every once in a while, but it is just the best feeling. So whenever we would see him, it was awesome.
Very cool. So working up through the desert and then coming into Kennedy Meadows, when all of you, like for you, Naps, when you hit the Sierra, were you alone through the Sierra, or?
Kennedy Meadows was the first point where I really saw different hikers. Throughout the desert, I was only in a bubble of 3 or 4 people the entire time. When I got to Kennedy Meadows, that's when I ran into a tramily just before that, and they were like 14 people deep. So when I got into KM, they were right ahead of me. And when we got there, we all had this plan. There were many places closed throughout the Sierras. So we had a plan to do very minimal resupplies and hike straight through. So I packed 10 days of food, and my plan was to go straight through, which involved going so fast. I didn't really hike with many people.
Wow, unbelievable. That's cool. And how about, so Pocket Sauce, how about you? Were you with Thursday, or because I remember when we met you at 1,000-mile 1048, you were like a day behind, or they were waiting, coming up to your birthday?
Yeah.
So Kennedy Meadows, we had a solid little trail family. Me, Thursday, Snack and Juice. Like, we were kind of like the 4 of us all throughout the desert. So going into the Sierra, it was the same kind of deal. And then we also met several other people who are now just amazing friends, and we just all hiked through the Sierra together. So yeah, we had a good little group in the Sierra.
What day did you guys get into the Sierras? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
I remember we summited Mount Whitney on May 28th.
May 28th.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't even get to Kennedy Meadows until June 6th.
Yeah, but you're also a bee. Wow. You're so fast. So. We were really in a rush at that point.
I think you guys had a lot more fun through the towns in the Sierras, though. I heard stories of the Bishop Whirlwind.
Yes.
I may have gone to Bishop 3 times. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. I got sucked into Bishop for 4 days myself. So
yeah.
Especially when you're waiting on like packages and stuff, it's so easy to just be like, well, I'll just wait one more day, you know, it's fine.
Yeah, you just see everybody, you know, it's awesome.
Yeah.
We had a,
but yeah.
We had a gentleman into this office about a month ago. His name was Pine. I don't know if you had met Pine. He was traveling alone when he was the first person we fed this year.
Oh, nice.
He had gotten to Tuolumne Meadows, and that's where his girlfriend had sent his resupply, and the Tuolumne Meadows postmaster was flipping back and forth. So when he got there, it was closed and there was nobody answering phones. So he didn't have, he was out of food at that point. So he did the next 8 days on fish. He would catch as many as he can, eat them, cook them, stack them to carry with him just to make sure he gets to the next lake. And
that's some real stuff right there. That's so impressive.
I would have died probably. So I'm like, this is it for me.
So,
we had fish one.
but
yeah, we had one fish.
so here's one of the things that really caught my attention when we were talking to hikers is talk about your experience with like going into Yosemite with nobody there. I mean,
that was wild. Because at that time, Yosemite National Park was, we had been talking to like Forest Service and rangers and stuff ahead of when we would enter different parks just to check in when we were in town of like, are we going to be able to hike through? Because we'd heard so many different things. So the last that we had heard from Yosemite was like, yes, it's open, but only to PCT hikers. If you have a PCT through hike permit, you can hike through the PCT, but like other things are closed to everyone else. So we were like, okay, let's go. This is going to be wild. Like I've been to Yosemite a lot and I've never seen it like that. It was so weird.
I think for me, it must have opened up at some point because I was under the expectation it would be totally closed. And when I got there, there were so many cars and so many people. It was overwhelming. I'd never seen so many people before.
Wow.
Well, so when we were going through there were people that were allowed in there with
just
like,
the
backpacker permits.
Yeah.
But like still just seeing Yosemite, because we've seen it on like a much larger scale, like when it's completely open compared to when we saw it then, we were like, this is crazy because there was no one on the trail. There was, I mean, compared to what it usually is, there's hardly anyone there.
And when we left Tuolumne, that was the first day that they started allowing JMT hikers in. So we saw like a few of them and like, that was it. They were all going the other way.
Yeah,
I was thankful to finally run into people because when I came up over Donahue and down into Tuolumne, I was completely out of food and I still had multiple days till my resupply. So a JMT family going southbound gave me like 10 oatmeal packets, a huge thing of trail mix. They gave me enough food to get me to my next resupply.
That's amazing.
I love it.
oh, you didn't have a fishing pole?
So did any of you take the opportunity to hike Half Dome since there was like no one there?
No. But there was actually a group of hikers ahead of us that we were friends with that did. They said that like, especially because they were ahead of us before anyone else was on trail as well. And they were like, well, we'll just go over and see if like anyone's there, or if we can. And apparently the rangers gave them the okay. They were like, yeah, no one else has permits for this, so you'll be the only ones up there, so you can go. So they did.
That's
but
amazing.
We didn't give it a shot.
all the pictures I see of people. All the pictures I see of people hiking Half Dome, there's like 100 people in a line, probably more, and it looks absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
So, what were you gonna say, Pocket Sauce?
I just have to throw in though that our Mount Whitney experience was just crazy too because we were also the only ones that were still able to go up Mount Whitney, and being up there with just PCT hikers and that's it was quite the experience.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That was really cool experience for sure.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So Naps, you hit the Sierra in June, so the snow was pretty much gone. Thursday and Pocket, when did you go in?
Late May. So we did Whitney, what'd you say, on the 28th?
Yeah.
So there was definitely still snow. We needed micro spikes and axes for sure to hit all the passes. But we camped below snow line pretty much every night. And then every morning you just wake up early and you got to go through snow and ice and stuff to get over the passes. So it was a cool mix of like, I think it was perfect conditions. Enough ice and snow to be like really fun and sometimes challenging, but you could camp under the snow line every night, which was really nice.
That was so nice.
Hey, Ice-T, now that you're here, we got a few questions for you. Good to see you.
Yay!
I don't know what happened there, man. Technology can be your best friend or your worst enemy. Today it's just trying to annoy me, but we're here. Yeah.
I first want to say, I'm amazed you still have that bandana.
Yeah.
I know,
behind
right?
you. Yeah. um,
Iced tea,
so
can I show you this?
Hey, I remember that. That's at Lancaster. That was a great night.
You with all your teas.
Yeah, we heard you like iced tea.
Yeah.
Not sure if
I
that's
know,
true.
right?
Okay.
yeah.
Well, and bless Samantha for the trail name. Thank you.
Oh.
You know, trail hikers are the only ones I know who can roll into Trail Magic at 7 o'clock at night, drink 3 Mountain Dews, and go sleep. You know, it's
That
just
sounds
crazy. Yeah.
That does sound about right.
So everybody, now that Ice-T's back, Ice-T, let's backtrack a little bit and hear your experience of, first of all, when did you come onto the trail?
I started on the 12th of March.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So you were in there about the time Thursday and Pocket Sauce started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might have been just a day or so ahead of them. I can't remember their start dates. So we were very close. Yeah. So
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how did you hear about the whole COVID experience situation that was starting to arise?
well, I was actually in Warner Springs. We had just left Julian when the lockdown actually happened. And at that time, we weren't 100% certain what was happening as far as what the lockdown actually meant. So we carried on into Warner Springs. We ended up spending a couple of days there because the weather had turned quite badly. And then everything seemed to come down. The place we were staying at, it still allowed us to stay there until we kind of figured out what we were going to do. And at that time, I think everybody had gone extreme to the get off the trail side. And even some people that were staying in the place we were at were telling us included to get off the trail. We were doing the wrong thing, leave, don't continue on. But we were already there, so we made the decision to keep going.
So Warner Springs is how far in?
100 something miles? Is that about right? Yeah.
Like 110 or something.
So you were still, this was like your first week or 2 weeks?
Yeah, first within the first week.
Okay. Very cool. So it had to, I mean, for everybody, it had to really put you in a push-pull position, you know?
Well, I did catch some of the conversations, and we had the same concerns about resupply. We had heard at that time post offices were going to close. No one was going to let us into their towns. There was lots of negativity, understandably, because everybody was confused on how bad was this going to be? How bad was it already?
And what was like your perspective since, you know, you were international? What were you hearing from Canada's perspective, like to get back home? Were they going to close the borders or what?
Yeah, I did catch a newscast on my phone. I went on to CBC, Canadian Broadcasting, and our Prime Minister was asking Canadians to come home at that time. But matter speaking, I was on my way home. I was just taking a longer route than most people.
This is true. Yeah, you weren't lying. I like that. You're like, I'm trying as fast as possible.
My
sir.
watch isn't big enough, but I'll be home in about 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please be patient.
So,
But no, but everything at that time, everything was just being asked and requested. It wasn't being demanded. So I just chose to keep hiking. If law enforcement had to come on, or U.S. Forestry Service had to come on and said, get off the trail and go home, I would have been on the next plane out of the country. I was a guest in your country. I wasn't going to break the law, but no one was telling us to do that. So until that happened, I was of the opinion that I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't, I was going to respect, wear a mask and be cautious and behave and wait for an authority to make the decision to say, go home.
Yeah.
I want to keep hiking.
Yeah. So it seems that most of the hostels and stores along the way in little towns were all open and welcoming.
They were.
Yeah.
The only town that was closed down was Mammoth Lakes. Everything else was open.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like when we did get to Mammoth Lakes, we jumped on a bus and busted back to Bishop and stayed there, and then busted back to Mammoth Lakes and got back on trail again. So
Yeah. Thursday, you're in Mammoth right now, right?
I am in Mammoth
Yes.
right now.
Is it
That's
still
where I
shut
live.
down?
Yeah, so yeah, it was interesting when we got to Mammoth. We actually ended up hiking some of the hikers that Pocket was talking about that we kind of added to our group in the Sierra. Actually, their family owned a condo here, so we were very fortunate to be able to have a place to stay. But I know that all rentals and campgrounds and things like that were not open to visitors at that time. But stores and things were still open, grocery store, gear store, things like that. But it was tough for a lot of hikers to find somewhere to stay in town. So I know that most people chose to go back down to Bishop, which I see that's where we saw you again. So I'm thankful you did come down
that's
there.
right. That's
Yeah.
There's a famous picture that Pocket Sauce took.
Yeah.
Famous.
And what's the picture, Pocket Sauce?
Oh,
Oh,
it just
want me to pull it up?
oh yeah.
Yeah, you should pull it
Yeah,
up.
I
let's
think
see
I have
it.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's so interesting living in a trail town now, though, because all my memories before this point have been like when I was either hiking through or visiting to go on other hiking trips. So it's so interesting now to like live here. Be like, I remember this place.
Are you going to do some trail magic for other PCT hikers when they come through?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what summer plans are. I know it involves a lot of hiking, but if and when I'm still around, 1,000%,
Yes.
I would love to do trail magic. There's the photo.
What is it?
There he
That's
is.
a giant key.
We had just come in from Mammoth after hiking, and I walk into the East Side Guest House, and I had my empty 64-ounce container of iced tea and my small pocket-size thing of iced tea, and there was Pocket Sauce there. We had to get the photo. So
Oh,
It was the
of course.
best.
living up to my trail name.
Yes.
So let's just go into a random topic here real quick. So Thursday, when we met everybody, I'm like, "How'd you get your trail name, Thursday?" You know, and I'm like, "Was that the day you were conceived, or is that the?" You know, and she's like, "No, it's my name," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, small."
Everyone expects some kind of cool story, and I'm like, I just am gonna disappoint you real quick and tell you that that's actually just my name.
Yeah.
People just assumed it was a trail name and didn't ask questions and rolled with it, and
So cool.
I'm not mad about it.
I assumed it was a trail name, and I didn't know until after trail that was your actual name.
Yep. I think a lot of people are in the same boat, so I don't mind it at all.
So let's see if we can check the squares here. So Pocket Sauce, you named Iced Tea. Didn't Thursday name you?
Yep.
Yes, she did.
And what's the story on that one?
The day we met. You want to tell him Thursday?
The story? Oh, well, I voted for Busted Packet, but she didn't like it.
Absolutely.
It's a great story. It's a
So
great
she was
story.
being this really
do it real
lovely,
quick.
the lovely, kind person that she is, and she was picking up trash along the trail, which is amazing. So we had walked up to a water source, and she had been putting trash in her side pocket of her Waymark, and she reached in for her water bottle to fill it up, and like pulled it out, and like her gloves, everything was just covered in this like white powdery liquid, like gross stuff. And she was like, "What's happening? Do you guys see what's going on? What's in my pack?" And we look inside, and there's these like busted open packets of McDonald's ranch that she had. It was
so bad.
disgusting. And so immediately, like, we started trying to come up with names and stuff for that because that was a memorable moment. And then the funniest part was after we had actually already settled on Pocket Sauce, she like kept having condiments like burst inside of her pack and spill all over all of her stuff. It was disgusting. And I was like,
Soy
it's
sauce,
perfect. Yeah, we nailed it.
All the good stuff.
Yeah, it was constant for like a while.
Did Pocket Sauce, did you have any problems with animals trying to eat your pack now since it was covered in ranch? Yeah.
No, not in the desert, but I definitely have holes in like my outer match pocket from me not thinking, and
Yeah.
the animals have tried chewing into my stuff. Yeah.
And
You guys
so,
are pretty sauce, though.
so
So good.
Naps, what's your story? I mean, does it just tell itself? But who?
For the most part, it was about Mission Creek or so. It was really, really hot, and there's like one tree down there. So I was sleeping underneath that tree, and I wake up, and there's a girl sitting next to me under the same tree. I was like, "Oh, hi." And
That's
later
really
on, she was trying to think of a name for me, and she's like, "Naps," and I'm like, "I like that. That's important in my life."
So and you were pretty much a power hiker, right? I mean, if
Yep.
you caught
Yep.
Pocket Sauce and Thursday, look, they're all nodding their heads. I mean, and you started what, a month and a half later?
Yeah, Naps is here.
2 months later, yeah.
Crazy.
But I also
Yeah.
started at mile 209
Okay.
because I wanted to respect PCTA and as much as I could and start about where I thought I would be had I started on my original start date. So I started at mile 209 and I got to Kennedy Meadows in about a month, maybe less, 22 days, I think it was. I averaged, I don't know, 20 miles a day pretty consistently starting off.
Wow, very cool. And Danny, when did you get into the Sierra?
Got into the Sierras. I should know this answer. First part of, I think, first part of April. Oh, middle of April, or near the end of April, actually. Yeah. Now I
Oh,
think
wow.
about it. Yes, it was. I think it was around the 26th of April, 25th of April. We hit the Sierras.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's early. There wasn't that much snow this year. Of course, there was still snow, but it wasn't a high snow year, right?
Well,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't as bad as what the 2019 hikers went through. But when I hit the Sierras, Kennedy Meadows at that time, there was only two other hikers there, Amir and Veronica from Sweden. And then Simon, whose trail name is Flaming Shower, and I arrived in Kennedy Meadows. And when we hit the Sierras, the four of us pretty well together, the Veronica and Amir left the day before, we went from doing marathons, 26-mile days, down to 9-mile days in the Sierras because the snow was so deep. I have a picture of Simon actually post-holed up to his armpits. And I was bugging him and about him post-holing. And he reminded me that I was only 5'9" and he's over 6 feet. But we still post-holed a lot, and we found very little dry ground to camp on or anything like. But it was slogging, that's for sure. But it was fun.
Well, so and you went straight through then. So you didn't get off for a couple weeks or anything like that. You just plugged all the way through the Sierra.
Well, that was the plan, but we had also were planning on doing 15 to 17-mile days. We were hoping, so that literally got cut in half, and we actually ran out of food, and we had to bail out Kearsarge into Bishop to get food. When we bailed, I had a Mars bar and a package of ramen. That's all I had left for food.
Wow.
So we did have to get off and get more food, unfortunately, or actually. Fortunately, Bishop was a great little town. So
Yeah, Bishop's great.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I missed that experience, those towns through there, because I was so set on getting through without a resupply.
And you know,
Well-
go ahead. Sorry.
the packs were heavy, I'll tell you. So
I bet.
I think I hit the
Thankfully, I
Sierras.
had
Go
a
ahead.
trail angel by the name of Rocks who took my bear barrel into Cottonwood Pass. So that saved me a couple days of resupply. So I was able to go most of the way.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Helped a lot.
That's a great challenge. There you go.
Awesome, yeah.
Wow.
So this is a pretty just general question everyone gets asked, but what were some of your favorite parts of the entire trail? Scenery-wise, people-wise?
Oh boy.
Ooh, I got to look back through my miles
Yeah.
here.
Pocket Sauce's birthday was so fun.
So fun.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the like couple days leading up to that and then that were like amazing.
Yeah,
We got
just
Trail
a-
Magic from you guys, and then we went
Yeah.
through Tahoe, and like we had a friend who had gotten off trail who came back to join us, and then we ended up
Yeah.
seeing some other good friends, and it was just like like you were saying earlier, Pocket, like the people make it. And I think especially because there were so few people on trail this year that like when you saw anyone that you had met before, you just get so stoked.
Yes.
Really
So
love.
excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think the 2 weeks, around Tahoe, we got to see Limit Situation and twice, which was
Twice.
awesome. Twice. And yeah, birthday was great, and just like it was a nice little transition out of the Sierra. We were with amazing people.
Mhm.
But then I think my favorite like part of trail scenery wise was the Sierra until I got to Washington, and then that changed the game.
Really?
Washington was amazing.
The Sierra was my favorite part, scenic wise. Washington was beautiful, but I was also in so much pain that I think I was just like, I could just stop hiking.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, the Sierras were by far the most beautiful and the majestic part of the entire hike.
Yeah.
But there was numerous times on the trail when when I met Pocket Sauce and Beard Meal and Juice. Is that right? Beard Meal, did I get that right? I kept saying beard snack or beard meal, and I was getting that for
I like
Beard
beard
snack.
meal though. That's
and
nice.
meeting Thursday in Lancaster, finding out that she was really one of Samantha's best friends, and how small the trail really was, and
Yeah.
we had a lot of fun that
We
night
did.
in Lancaster.
So much fun.
That was memorable.
Right, it was.
And that makes it so hard to pick out certain experiences because it's so
Poor
awesome.
Splinter had no idea there was such thing as a twist top beer, and he's trying to figure out how a woman could tap this beer no problem, and he couldn't figure it out. And
Then
so they
Spencer
made him
could
drink
pull
a
out
beer
of
every
his
time he couldn't twist one open, but they kept giving him beer that didn't have a twist cap. He was rough. But it was so much fun. It was so much fun. He couldn't figure it out. It was just bizarre. I have a video of the entire thing.
Do you really?
I do.
Oh, you'll have to send that to me. That's really funny.
And but yeah, there were some pretty amazing people on trail, and I didn't get I didn't meet Jesse on trail, but Thursday, Samantha, Simon, there's just so many, and I've made friends with all of them. And I'm if they all show up in Canada at the same time, I'm in trouble because they've all been invited to my place.
Keep on the planet. The planet will overwhelm you.
Yeah.
I loved how the trail was so small this year that you knew names of people ahead of you, but you had never met them. And then when you finally come across them, like Ice-T, I heard your name multiple times, people talking about you, and I knew that you were ahead of me. But this is actually the first time I got to meet you, so that's pretty cool.
It's wonderful to meet you. So, hey, can I just take a minute? Can I just say something to Jennifer?
Mhm.
So Jennifer, I watched every single one of your videos on your hike before I left on my hike.
Oh,
And your videos
I have
were
to.
by far the best ones that I watched because they were so real and informative. And I would be neglectful if I didn't say my favorite was when you went off on that guy. You talked about going off on some guy that was giving you a hard time about you were being an engineer and you were going to advance yourself. And then you spoke up and said, well, you're just the engineer. It's the technicians that are really the big people and the important ones. And me being a technician, I salute you. Thank you for recognizing that we're something.
Of course. Thank you. That means a lot. I'm glad my videos. I always joke, my videos aren't, those beautiful shots and movie edited. It's just, I wanted to just basically naturally blog my experience. And that was something I was going to ask some of you. If any of you had, wrote a journal or just took a photo blog or anything to, solidify and your experience so that you could go back and look at it.
Instagram.
Yeah. 100%. I refrained from posting after the first couple of days just because I didn't know what was going on. I kept a lot of my photos and videos to myself. And then I started posting later, probably when we went into the Sierra, I posted a couple of times. Yeah. But I did create a podcast series talking to everyone I was hiking with and a vlog and all this content that I haven't done anything with yet. I'm still kind of figuring out what I want that to look like. But I think in the next 3 months or so, I'm planning to go through a lot of that. I've just posted some photos recently, but I have a lot of content. I just got to figure out what to do with it.
It's
do
hard,
good
like
content,
when
too.
you go out there, it's like I was so overwhelmed, and I wanted to take photos of everything and videos of everything, and it was like you just wanted to capture everything, and yeah, I have so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at some point, I'll dive through all the video footage and
Yeah.
I'll edit together the podcast and stuff and release that. But
No,
just take time.
Naps, didn't you say you started something and it was mostly for your family like Jennifer was doing, and it was kind of taking off on you and getting uncomfortable?
Kind of.
Because you're like, I'm not going to tell
I
you
was
the
making
site. I'm not going to
videos
tell you the
just to
site.
send
Yeah.
back home and update my family. And in order for people to find them, I had to make the videos public. Well, little did I know, people found them. And it went from like just my family following to, I think I had 900 people at one point following. And
Wow.
it was
Wow.
really cool
Yeah.
because I could talk with them, and they would encourage me. And then they would say things like how seeing me hiking this year motivated them to do things back home,
hmm
and push themselves. And it was really heartwarming.
That's
Right.
amazing.
Cool.
So did any of you encounter like Thursday? I know you said you kind of refrained from it, and we understand that things got so toxic from outside people. Was any of you getting any flack socially as you went through?
Yeah, I just didn't post anything anywhere for a while because
Yeah.
I saw the way that folks that I knew were treated when they did post things. And understandably, when people are afraid and when things are uncertain, folks tend to lash out, right? I understand where a lot of these people were coming from, 100%. But we had some dear friends in the beginning that got off trail because they got a lot of threats. And it was just really sad to see. So I didn't want to make myself a target. So I just kind of didn't post anything until later on. But I personally didn't receive any hate or threatening messages, but I did see quite a bit of it towards
I
the
was really worried that would happen on my videos. And I think of the 26 videos I posted, I had one comment that was negative, which was very surprising to me.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
I experienced quite a bit of it like in the first month, like in the desert.
Mhm.
But that's because I was posting on like Instagram what I was doing. I mean, I wasn't like flaunting that I was in a trail town or anything. I was just posting videos of me like on the dirt trail, you know. But I did get some, people saying like some pretty harsh things that definitely that hurt a lot. And luckily, I had Thursday that I just met, and the way that Thursday would look at these people's frustrations helped me a lot. Tried to understand where maybe they were coming from, but it was really hurtful. But luckily, I got through it, and and Thursday helped out a lot with that.
Yeah.
For myself, the only time I ever really ran into any real negativity, besides on the Facebook page, which I just stopped going on, and I think that's when the Still Hiking page got formed, and that was mostly just hikers and trail angels on that one. But I only had one person freak out on me in Idlewild, and she was adamant that we shouldn't be in the town and stuff. But again, like Thursday said, I completely understand, because at the time, COVID was pretty scary. Nobody understood what was going to happen with it. So she had every right to be concerned. We ran in, got out. That's really all we wanted to do. But everything else was pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah, that's something that we talked about a lot before we would go near a trail town too. Is like, as soon as we get service, we'd check and like, do they have like a website? Have they posted anything? What are their rules? What do we need to know? Where can we go? Do we need to wear like certain things? Like, I wanted to make sure that I personally was being super respectful, and I don't want to ever put anyone in a situation like where they're like afraid, or where, I just don't want to put anyone in a situation where they're uncomfortable. So I'd rather avoid a town altogether than to go in and be like, I'm entitled to be here. Like, so that was something that I know talked a lot about.
So real quick, I think I've got a message coming in. I think we have a question from an online visitor. Let's see here.
Oh, Oh, look at this.
I love that one.
That's old school.
All right, so this is actually more of a comment and not a question, but this is to Thursday. Do you know someone named Dave Sadler?
I do.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Says Thursday is a folk hero here in Arkansas. Many friends
Aw.
followed you on
Aw.
social media.
That's so sweet.
Oh, that's flipping cool.
Do you want to tell us who Dave is, or is that a private?
Oh, that's my father.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so when I finally started sharing some photos and stuff with family, they would repost it. And a lot of their friends and folks who, were stuck at home and apparently found a lot of like inspiration and stuff like that through my trip, which I think is very, very flattering. So
Nice.
I'm glad that they were able to share that. And hopefully I'll be able to, at some point, like I was saying, go through the rest of all of the stuff that I have and share that with folks, because I understand how frustrating that can be. And, sometimes it means a lot seeing someone else do something, and I don't know.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like
Nice.
it was an easy decision for any of you. Just like people who got off the trail, it didn't seem like any of you were just like, nah, I don't care, I'm doing this. It seemed like you all had thought and intention, and you did care, but you were careful, like you said, going into the towns and everything. So.
For me personally, there was never a decision. I never decided. It was a constant battle. Like I was battling a lot of guilt, seeing my family and my friends like suffering, and here I am like living out my dream. So
Yeah.
it was just a constant like, okay, well, I have this 1 week till I'm at the next resupply point. I'm going to take it that far. Then I'll make another decision about the next little leg.
Yeah.
There was never like a moment where I was like, well, I'm doing it no matter what, like for me. So,
Okay.
but I don't know about everyone else.
Yeah, I initially canceled my hike and I told my manager, I said, put me on the schedule, I'm going to work. And then I one day was browsing through the Facebook and I saw everyone hiking and all you guys updating us. And I was like, I'm putting my 2 weeks in right now. And so I wrote my letter to my boss and she's like, okay, have fun. See you when you get back.
Very cool.
Yeah.
There was
So.
some guilt there. I mean,
Oh.
you are feeling bad that you're out there at times, but for me, I was a long way away from an airport. I was like, well, I'll get to when I get closer to an airport, I'll grab a taxi and maybe or Uber and head home if I need to. But we did keep tabs on the news, so.
Yeah. I wore my N95 mask until it turned to dust in the desert.
Nice.
Wow. When you were hiking?
No, not while hiking.
Oh, okay.
But I carried it, and of course everything gets covered in the dust, and it was in my hip belt pocket. So whenever I get into a town, I would wear my N95 because I thought I still needed to quarantine, having had exposure to COVID patients immediately prior to trail. So I wore that mask out.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah. So, do any of you have any, future hiking plans, or is it a secret? Or.
Oh boy.
You can say
next
pass.
Next year, I would really like to go to the BC, and that's pretty much what I have my eyes and my heart set on right now.
Yeah.
2022.
CDT is in the future for me as well. Potentially southbound this summer, but things are really up in the air for me. I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
But if not, I'm doing Colorado Trail, maybe the Condor Trail this summer. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Pacific Northwest Trail, perhaps. I have like some friends who are hopping on a lot of these. And I'm like, I'll just go with you.
Lowest to highest.
Yeah. We're doing lowest to highest. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
For me, no big trails, no long trails. But I shortlisted for a job up here in Canada, which will basically take my summers away completely. So I'll have to work all the time. But where I'll be living, I'm surrounded by the mountains and numerous hiking trails anyway. So, and I'll be actually working in the mountains anyway. So, well, again, I'm shortlisted. Haven't got it yet. So.
I don't have any hiking plans yet, but everyone watching is going to get to meet beast mode. I'm hoping to
Yeah.
Yes.
pull a beast mode because
So
I'm
good.
currently 18 weeks pregnant. So Mr.
Oh.
Nap and I are going to create.
Congratulations. Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
And now your husband knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was this the reveal?
No, we talked about this. We want to watch beast mode later and see about maybe doing that in like 12 years.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so that takes me to, you know, our trail magic experience this year when my wife, you know, it was so confusing, just so confusing with everything. We don't tend to get wrapped up in one side or another. We live in the country. You know, so we're taking all of our precautions. We spent a lot of time outdoors together. She said, we have to remember we're here for the hikers. That's our number one goal. So when we, just like you, Nap, started seeing people that were coming through, we decided to set our dates and to go out and do our Trail Magic setups. And so the first day, I'll never forget, we didn't know what to expect as to your reaction to us. And so we had the whole sanitizer setups and masks and all of that because we wanted to respect how the hikers would feel if they were concerned about coming in contact with us. Gentleman comes through, Pine, who I'd mentioned earlier, and so we're 10 feet away and say, what would you like from us? And he says, a hug. And I'm like, oh, thank God, man.
Yeah.
Just some normality. I mean, the craving of the human connection was the first thing I noticed that I couldn't live without. And so what you folks brought to us this year was a sense of normality. As abnormal as it was, it felt so good for us to be out there and to just be people who are in the present, in the moment, you know, taking in the trail and not caught up in all the stuff that's going on. So, you know, we thank you for that because it meant a lot to us. And so normally we feed 350 to 500 people in a year. This year with our double extra trips, we fed close to 125. So that tells you what from our perspective, what the actual amount of people was. But
That's a big difference.
yeah, huge difference. And you know, so on a good side of it, what it allowed us is we go up there and a lot of times we're just overwhelmed. You know, we're trying to keep everybody, you know, as much food as they can eat and keep it cooking and all of that. But this year, the beauty of it was we had downtime and we have the ability to sit and talk with you. You know, and that's one of my fondest memories
great.
is July 4th when Thursday and pocket sauce and tip tap,
Tiptoe.
and then who was the gentleman from overseas?
High stakes.
I see, yeah. And Naps came through, but you know, the four of you stayed there a large portion of the day, not caught, you know, not in this vortex trap, but the fact that my wife and I could sit back and we love just watching conversation, people playing cards, just, you know, the togetherness. I mean, that's what you guys bring to us is pretty amazing. So we just thank you for all of that.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the highlights from the trail.
So-
We were like, be here all day and just stay for longer and stay for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Really have
we,
a good night.
it was really cool because we didn't even realize that we were, because you had told us that you were going to be there, and we didn't really like have like our miles right where we're like we knew we were going to see you on that day, but then the day before, I guess it was the day before or maybe the day of, we were like, you know who we're going to run into today? I think we're gonna see limit situation. I think we're gonna see Alan today. This is gonna
Oh,
be
we got
great. And
so excited.
yeah, and so like we're trying to text each other on our Garmin, like, hey, there's gonna be trail magic today. Like we didn't even realize lined it up perfectly.
Yeah,
See
and
you
then
on
you
that
put
day.
the sign, the limit situation sign, and you just
Yeah.
are like, yes.
It's like
So good.
jackpot. Yeah.
Well, I
Yes.
experienced so little trail magic on the trail, understandably, because a lot of folks, weren't getting out and doing things with people they didn't know, which is, great. But so the things that we did experience, like, were extra special. So we really, really appreciate you and everything that you did. It was
Absolutely, Alan. Yeah, you
amazing.
guys were great. So
Yeah.
actually, it was kind of funny because after we had met you the first time, I'm not sure if you remember Radar or not, who I hiked a great deal with. Well, him and I ended up hiking most of the time together after South Lake Tahoe, and when we were hiking along, the reason why he got his trail name Radar was he was on top of everything. He knew where the next campsite was going to be, where this was going to be. I mean, he would find restaurants in the middle of nowhere and be, oh, hey, if we get there by 4 o'clock, we might be able to get ourselves a burger. Well, he knew you guys had moved on from where we had met you the first time, and strategically was trying to slow us down so we could hook up with you guys one more time. So
you were on his radar.
yeah, you were on his radar, and but unfortunately, I think we missed you by a couple of days. But Alan, you and the guys that were there, it was amazing. It was surreal coming around the corner out of the trees up onto the road, and there you were, this massive oasis in the middle of a trail, and it was just amazing. And you just kept shoving food down our throats. It was awesome.
They don't stop.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
Fresh
So much
baked
food. It was so
cookies
good.
and burgers and cold coffee. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And that, what I really liked, so Naps, this last week, you posted a 7-day or a 5-day series leading up to when we met you on July 4th. And I had mentioned on one of your posts, we never know what you hikers are going through. It's so it was a beautiful experience for me to read those last 5 days to go, oh my God, so someone comes in and they're excited to see you, but everything that's carrying the weight of you're wondering if your grandmother is going to make it, the loneliness you were experiencing at that point was pretty profound to me. Can you talk a little?
Prior to that, I was told that you guys had set up somewhere after Sonora Pass as well, but I was off the trail at Sonora Pass and my husband came out for a while. We went to South Lake Tahoe for a while, and then I got off in Truckee and spent some time in Reno for a while. So a lot of that time I was really struggling. And when I had finally come across you guys, July 4th, it's the only day I know on trail definitively where is at. And that was the day my grandmother had passed away, and it was spent when I was with you guys. And it just meant so much to have that connection with someone, even though you guys had no idea what I was experiencing at the time. Looking back, it meant so much to me.
Wow.
Wow. That's, sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Did your hike change a bit after that day because of the grief you were experiencing?
In a positive way. I felt like that was on my shoulders up into that point of the hike. And then once she had passed away, I realized, okay, now's the time to go for it. And I just started with that energy of limit situation. I had them, that just gave me a whole bunch of food and I was just ready to go kick the rest of the trail's butt.
Very cool. And I forgot, I didn't put the lines together. Didn't I contact you because you were talking about your mosquito bites?
Yes, you did. You had sent me a message and you said, hey, well, if you happen to be in this area, come grab some food. And that was when I was off at Sonora Pass and in South Lake Tahoe because my legs were infected and just terrible from the Sierras. That was the first time I quit.
Wow. Wow.
You
So,
Yeah.
So
It was brutal.
talk about to the general public out there, or the wannabe hikers, or I don't want to say wannabe, the future hikers, stuff like that. Did COVID affect the mosquitoes?
We may have wished it would have, but it
Yeah.
didn't. They should have been in lockdown, but they
Definitely
didn't
not.
listen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pocket got affected by those pretty badly as well.
It was bad. We got to Storm Pass, and I had just been eaten alive. Like, I was miserable. And we sat down like by the road, and Thursday counted 85 on the back of my left thigh, and that was just the back of my left thigh.
Just the back of one thigh, 85 bites.
Yeah, she was
Wow.
like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they were like bites on top of bites, and I was just, it was miserable. And when I say this feels good, like, I mean, they'll get you like mentally. It's really bad.
I felt really bad for you. I know you were really struggling through that.
Yeah, that was hard.
Cool.
I don't like that. Northern Yosemite.
Right on. So
But like that.
So as you hiked into the year, did any other pressure come at you from the outside at all? Because now at this point, I know what we experienced here in Auburn was the hordes of people trying to get out and do day hikes. And so they were shutting down trailheads to keep the thousands of people from congregating. Did that, as this went on, did anything change during this year, or is it pretty much just kind of the same old?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I saw the most people on trail in Washington. Tons and tons of day hikers and weekend backpackers. But before that, I mean, it was mostly just PCTers and like the occasional, a couple of folks headed the other way.
Yeah.
We saw like 10 southbounders total, maybe, doing the PCT.
Yeah.
But yeah, Washington and the like around like Snoqualmie and like those, you know, trailheads, there were a lot of folks. It was very surreal
Lots.
to like see people and be like, oh, I'll just
A little overwhelming.
go back. I'll just I know what to do.
Yeah.
That was weird, but I don't know. What about you guys?
Just the further north you got, particularly in the latter parts of Oregon and definitely the first parts of Washington, like Thursday said. I think it started right around Cascade Locks, or was when we started bumping into more and more day hikers, and then started bumping into southbounders. And the only thing that changed really was, one, you got to bump into more people, and for the most part, you know, share your story. People were actually pretty kind. They would keep their distance, which was good. And campsites got a little bit more difficult because now you're competing with southbounders, day hikers, northbounders, and so but only a couple of times did we have, you know, 8 or 9 people arrive at a 4-person site, and everyone kind of, well, you know, if we do this and move your tent here, you know, but that was it. More people. It was good though. No, nothing negative, not whatsoever.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we had a lot of campsite privilege on the PCT. Everywhere you show up, you can camp anywhere you want. There's never anyone else fighting for a spot. That was really nice.
Oh, wow.
You could pick anywhere on the map, and you're like, I'm gonna camp there.
Yeah, and no one's
you
gonna
get
be
it.
there.
That was one thing I was wondering for our hike versus other years. How does it compare then? Because I hear all these stories of all the campsites being taken, and not once did I have that issue.
Nope.
I could camp anywhere I wanted. I'd pick a spot on gut hooks, and I'm like, I'm camping there, and never questioned it.
So Jennifer, talk to that one, Jennifer, because you were in a very busy year because of low snow.
Yeah. So mainly in the desert is when sometimes, you know, I would want to camp somewhere, but then I would show up and they were full. But I also hiked alone a lot, and I seemed to be in between bubbles. So I actually was, you know, able to find campsites pretty easily, but I did hear that it was a problem for some other hikers. But there's, you know, the Gut Hook app is amazing because it shows so many different campsites. So even if you go to one and there's only 2 and it's full, there might be one half a mile down. So
That's right.
yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
And even though it says a 2-person site, you can easily, in a lot of them, you can get 3-4 tents on there without a problem.
oh yeah, and especially I cowboy camped a lot in, you know, the desert. So you know, you can just really put your sleeping bag down anywhere. So
That's true.
there's options.
So nice.
Agree.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think we have another online question going to be dropped in here, Jennifer.
Oh, here we go.
That's just the,
Thank
that's the
you.
greatest thing
This
ever.
is the least high-tech aspect of this
Yes.
this event today.
All right, I'll give you this one. You can read that name.
Okay.
That's a comment, but I have a question after you.
Okay. Yep. Here's a comment to Naps from Shuey and Peter. Congratulations.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah.
Shuey, is that it? Shuey?
Is it? I don't have my glasses on.
Yeah.
Shuey.
Does that make
Shuey.
sense to you, Naps?
Do you
Does
know
what
who?
make sense?
Do you know who
Shuey.
Shuey and Peter are?
No.
Oh, okay.
Do you know a Peter?
I know a Peter, and I only know a Peter because Peter commented on every single YouTube video of mine. One day
right
I'd love
on.
to meet Peter.
So that's probably
Peter Young.
him.
Great. Well, they say congratulations. And
Thanks, Peter.
this is a group question, so anyone go feel free to answer. But this is from Jacob B. When looking back on the version of you that stepped off the trail versus on the trail, how did you grow as individuals?
Oh, that's deep, eh?
Yeah.
Wow. Who wants to go first? I don't know. I think I just rediscovered my love for the outdoors and why I wasted so much time being away from it through my, my 20s and my 30s and 40s and maybe part of my 50s. But I really discovered my love for the outdoors again, and I'm grateful for that. That's for sure. But personally, I think I'm the same person, but I have to ask my friends.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. You want to know how I'm really doing? Ask my wife, right? How about you, Pocket?
I definitely think it changed me in the sense that I learned how to make decisions for myself because I've grown up I have a wonderful relationship with my family and my friends, and I generally like to people please. So in this kind of situation where I wasn't able to please a whole lot of people with staying on trail or just in general, the town that I've grown up in, the family that I've grown up in, it was a stretch for me to tell people, like, yeah, I'm gonna go hike this trail from Mexico to Canada by myself, and it took everyone was shocked. Like, it just isn't the normal thing to do in the place that I grew up. So to even just say I'm gonna do this, because I want to, my heart wants to, was a really big step. And then to make decisions for myself. Yeah, and I need to, even to this day, it's still something I need to work at. But looking at what I did and the fact that I hiked this thing, I can look at that every single day and remind myself that I can do what I set my mind to. I don't need to please everybody, but I can reach all my goals that I want to. So it's changed me in that sense, and also I have more love for just everyone else around me. So it's been great.
Very
Pocket,
cool.
what's really cool about that is, like, I know I didn't know you before the trail, but like I see a huge transformation in you from when we started hiking together to like today, and that's been like so cool to see. Like, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Naps Thursday. Do you guys want to speak to that? How you feel like you've grown as an individual?
I think the trail for me was just kind of a continuation of like the trajectory of my life that I've taken the last few years. It was kind of the next natural step, something I wanted to do, and having completed it with all of its wild challenges this year just gave me a lot more confidence to say yes to myself more often and to feel confident changing the direct trajectory of my life at any point. Just being open to things and saying yes to more things. And like, I live in a small mountain town now, and I'm doing kind of whatever I want to do in the moment and living a little more in the present. Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I feel like the trails just made me profoundly grateful for everything.
Oh, yeah.
The smallest little thing, coming home to having a pillow and just
Yeah.
And you realize how little you can make do with, and you don't need all of this stuff, but when you do have it, it's just amazing. And it also made me realize how many good people there are out there. And it made me realize I need to let people help me. I've always been a fiercely independent person, and there's people out there who want to help you. And you should let them, because they get something from helping you as well.
Yay.
I love that.
I love that.
Yay.
That's a
really
great
good
answer.
like that.
Well said.
Yeah. So we just want to thank you. We know with all the setup, the emails, the back and forth and all of that, we're trying to keep it minimal, but thank you for your participation. Thank you for your courage. And thank you for being who you are,
Aw,
Yeah.
you know?
Thank you.
thanks,
I
Alan.
mean,
And Jennifer, appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
of course.
Thank you.
we're
so
just, as we may not tell you enough, we're just proud of you, man. You know,
Ugh.
that's an accomplishment. So don't ever take that for granted. Like Thursday, or like Pocket Sauce just said, you do this, you can do anything.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
can.
That's very true.
So
Well, thank you so much for saying that. It really means a lot to hear that, because
Yeah.
I think we've all like been through moments where we've built our self-confidence through all these challenges. But it's, I don't know, it just feels nice to hear someone else say that about you and everyone that you know. You know it's true
Yeah.
about everyone that you've seen. You've seen them grow and you've seen them overcome these crazy obstacles. But it means a lot to hear it. So thank you so much.
It really does.
And so,
yeah.
real quick, we need to roll in a couple minutes. Don't you? I think Thursday you weren't able to make it to your post office, but do you folks have a little
no.
package in front of you?
Yes.
Would you
All right,
like?
let's see it. Yeah, put it in the light. Oh.
Here it
Okay,
is.
go ahead
Yeah,
and
pretend Thursday.
open them up.
How big? Oh, it's this big. Okay, here it is.
Yeah.
It's a little big.
I don't know about you guys, but I've had this thing on my counter now for the last 2 weeks, and all I've said is how cruel Alan's been making me wait. So now I can open it.
So
If someone cuts their finger off, I'm gonna be really upset.
Alright.
Just like watching people open gifts at
Oh my
Christmas.
God.
It's gonna be.
Oh, there's another box.
Oh.
okay, so
Aw.
let me give you a little background here. We know you guys are the forgotten year. We wanted to acknowledge the fact of this hike that you all completed.
Oh. Nice tea.
Wow.
And
Can I
so,
open the?
It's like making me cry.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you very much.
so why don't you hold it up and so
That's so
It's so incredible.
It's wrapped really well.
Very
Now
cool,
she's still
right?
working on hers.
Oh, there's another box.
you can do this pocket.
Oh.
So for any of you people out there, it's an acknowledgement of completion from limit situation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, and we just, like I said, we're proud of you.
Yeah.
You know,
That is so kind. Thank you so much.
Very
Yeah.
much.
Good job, you guys, and glad you made it back safe.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Oh my goodness. I don't even know what to say. This is fantastic.
Yep. So that's our gift to the 2020 hikers for what we consider a lot of courage. So thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
And Thursday, you can open it up anytime you pick it up.
maybe mine's the same.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow.
Whenever the post office is actually open, I will go by.
Cool.
Our mail's just a little difficult to get here.
Yeah. Okay, folks.
This is amazing.
It was so much fun talking to you guys and getting to know all of you a little bit better. And, you know,
Yeah.
maybe we'll see each other on the trails someday.
Thank you
would be
guys
nice.
so
That'd be
much
amazing.
for doing
Thank
this. It's like This
Yeah,
really
thank
means
you
a
so
lot
much.
to be not only included in something like this, but the fact that you're even doing this, like, and wanting to give us a platform to like talk about our experiences. I'm
Yeah.
not crying, you're crying.
Amazing.
But it means so much. I think that you're
Yeah.
absolutely right when you said that like the human connection at the end of the day is like what makes it, right? Like when I first started the trail, I intended to do everything completely by myself. And I had the exact opposite experience and it was perfect. I wouldn't change a thing, you know? So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Literally every single one of you guys brings so much joy to my heart. I never experienced like this feeling before until I found myself walking on the PCT and the day that I met all of you guys. So it's just a beautiful thing, and
I'm still wearing your
can't thank you
scrunchy
enough.
pocket sauce.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh,
I had like several colors.
you
I love it.
had several scrunchies on trail.
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Got the same-
folks.
I love you guys so much.
Thank you, everybody, for your presence.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for this platform.
yes, and we will all talk to you soon. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Wonderful.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.